To the sorry, something is happening with my computer. Hold on, just 1 second. Okay, I think it's working again. Hi, hello everybody, welcome. My name is Hugh. I am a lead poet mentor here at Youth Speak, and you are joining us for the Under 21 Open Mic and Teen Poetry Slam. Tonight we're going to be hearing from some of, it's international at this point, some of the world's, brightest, boldest writers. And we also have a feature from Alameda County's own Zoe Dorado. We also have a guest DJ with us tonight. Russ, hey, you see the fingers? You see the fingers? You see the fingers? If you feel like signing up for the open mic or the poetry slam, there's still time. You can just message Sandy, who's the list keeper. Just a general trigger warning. We acknowledge that the words of our young folks are powerful. Poets are going to get on this mic today and speak their truth. This may include topics that might physically or emotionally activate folks in the audience and may cause them to relive traumatic events in their minds and bodies. So this is a collective content and trigger warning. Please do what you need in order to take care of your mental and emotional health during the show. We also have a breakout room, which we have labeled Access. And today, Leticia is going to be your access person. Just going to be in that room to join you and hold it down if you need anything. Also, remember that as the poets get on the mic, there's many ways to show them love in a virtual space. You can blow up the chat with lines you hear that you love. Send out some emojis, some reactions. The chat is a great place, for the poets when they're done to go back to the chat to read those affirmations. But let me stop rambling. We're gonna start the open mic. So I want y'all to start throwing in some reaction emojis. Just typing away in the chat. Give me some ones in the chat box for our first poet of the night, Mubina.
Hi. My name is Mubina. I'm here in East Oakland. I'm 20 years old, and this is my first open mic of the year, so I'm excited. I have a first draft of a poem I started, also one of my first completed poems of the year. Yay. And it's titled Sunflower / She Flowers or She Flowers. She flowers, she blooms, she grows, deeply rooted, reaching deep into the soil of her soul, rerooting. She flowers, she blooms, she grows. Face towards the sun, dusk to dawn, prostrating daily towards the one. She flowers, she blooms, she grows. Been uprooted, replanted, planted firmly. She flowers, she blooms, she grows. See, sunflowers, no matter where planted, always turn their face towards the sun. So, reaching towards the light, she flowers, she blooms, she grows. That's it.
Hey, thank you so much. Also, shout out and so much love for your first open mic. That was so wonderful.
Yeah.
It also come on, first draft. That's so great. There's some love for you in the chat. She flowers, she blooms. Sandy said you better grow. Reaching toward the light. She flowers, she blooms, she grows. Face toward the sun. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, and thank you so much for being here. Next on the mic we have Minerva, but before I pass the mic over, just another announcement that if you have any poems you want to read tonight on at the open mic or the slam, please sign up. Our list is looking a little thin at the moment, a little spare. So there's room. And yeah, okay. So next on the mic, give it up for Minerva and Mr. Noodles.
Oh my God. I think he went to go sleep somewhere in a corner. Either way, yes, I'm Minerva, and I have two poems today. The first of which is Culminations. What we had must have been deadly. The way it pulsated over the being into a wax and wane, we are moonkin. That's why depression makes us feel more alive. I used to love the nighttime when it was between me and reckoning. We find a rhythm crammed into the back seat of this 1999 Toyota Corolla. Someone once installed a disco light into the ceiling, emboldening our noses till they glow blue. I think of the jellyfish, who inverts itself to child form. I do not envy its thoughtlessness, but I trust the gamble and go all in. Halfway pray, someone lets this mobile jukebox run somewhere north of Kansas. Then the virus arrive, now we love the night. I have traded weak spots and numbers, carved my story on a platter till it ran back to ecstasy. We were the misfit kids who found a way to be artists in a city of CEOs. I gave up on a grip on reality for a Midas touch. That everything I create really goes a breakneck speed to think there is an answer. Come to New York. We have no gods, no masters. Bandage your wrists and pack your eyeliner. Our love is a commodity for straight boys, so scrub your lips with vinegar before leaving. Make it bitter if they try and kiss us. To think there is an answer. An aisle full of pill bottles, but there's no cure for me. I learned to monetize sadness here in the fluorescent light. If you don't write, who will remember? The linoleum? I'll abide to manifest indifference. The ego is unconditional. They'll say I've the curse. A mere head case with a crown, shutting down, body full of chemicals, room full of lights. Who were we before we tried to outwit emotion? It's a stupid addiction, but who has time to quit? Our bare feet dangle out the window, arching at the palms. She says I'm lucky, never letting the relief help, because if you do, you won't ever be yourself without it. I have compounded into the cold. The air burns my fingertips like a frostbite in which the blisters are metaphorical. But I am shivering and can barely hold the pencil, much less take the test. We straddle the tree branch like it could be each other. Sure, the height is dangerous, but they won't hear us. But the old spot's gone to compost now, and with it, the singular truth we unfolded in each other's gossip. They'll never find us. We have nothing to lose. And this next one I had published recently, it's called X-Poem. I imagine it would be like this. We will be together again discussing science and literature, so it sounds eerily like poetry. Heavy with the phantom pains of youth, this infinite moment, a miniature forever, and a fading actuality. My name hides a secret. Crimson, because I want to watch the sacred be destroyed. Will he posture towards me? Voice cracking with the new fear. For this, I can be a different me. Hateably vulnerable, I will bite my tongue and let the punches hit slowly first. It doesn't matter the ache. When it's elementary to drown stale tears down the drain, then I'm too confessional. Not enough slam and spoken the beat. Like my Berkeley-age Tati, an unfinished poet, we are always too young. Just a slim hand reaching eastward. Inward, your hips making a melody of my waistline, your breath a song in a jar on my windowsill. I would give it to a grandchild if they knew how to keep it. Legacy, old books, dusty and pretentious, another generation's battle cry. I will write about the men who came to take us in the night, nothing to carry except our knapsacks, against a country predisposed to conservatism, against the parents who sworn to protect us on the gravestones of their own childhoods. Father, I come to you young and struggling. Mother, I give you my life. Your hands tinged into the skin of my face, hands around my neck, hands on my back, hands holding a possible infinity. One day I may sit at a table with the demon of my eye and barter my soul for the ungiven kiss. Have them scatter my ashes in the unforgiving seas, my body surrendered to the vines and crookshanks of the gardens. Have them pray for the same relief in memoriam I once did, that the tenfold scars on my arms will never fade. The witch, the doctor, the fixer, your follower, all search the old mob. They will envy us for mortality if purpose is never dated. Racing down the street, a scandal late to the 1920s, muttering lines from the movies and choking on flies, darting between the aunties and saris following their husbands. I want to miss this when I return to lineage. My once home, in another life before I leave, forgetting forgotten an analogy to one verse. Our lives, one word, the invisible euphoria of breath. Sorry if I went over time. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Wow. Everybody is losing their minds. Wow, whatever. Okay, I have to go. I have to scroll all the way back to in the chat just to get some of the love.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
I'm immediately I'm thinking of artists in the city of CEOs. Lost my mind. Lost my mind. Gonna throw my computer against the wall. Was it bandage your wrists? Our love is a commodity for straight boys. Okay. An aisle full of pill bottles, but there is no cure for me. I mean, okay, you can go through the chat. It's like there's a whole. I mean, there's a whole manifesto of why of greatness in there. But now we are come. Oh, actually, we have one more poet on the open mic, and then we're gonna have our feature poet. Um, Everybody, start showing some love. Start getting the chat ready for Opal Oliver.
Hello. This is a work in progress. The water boils, 2 scoops and a stir, and in seconds I am sipping chai, a word that only 10 years ago did not echo about American coffee shops and Starbucks. I listened to my mother talk with aunties complaining about how the chai here is too sweet. But I also know that after just a few months, my mother cannot drink real chai anymore. The hours of spices simmering in warm milk are too strong, and she can only take the sweet knockoffs now. Assimilation severs yet another taste off the tip of my tongue. This artificial concoction is all I know of where I come from. The powder dusts my fingerprints and asks me, is India where you're really from? I look between the chutney and the sog like a young child accused of stealing. There's Chinese takeout we always got because my grandma swore up and down it was sorpatel from home, hidden behind my back. No, I am not you, I say with my head down. I cannot speak Hindi. The extent to which I know does not go past the spice cabinet. I douse every bite of heat in lassi like a coward who cannot swallow all that this subcontinent was robbed for. I only know scraps of my history, not even enough to make a sorry, but I swallow and look up at India towering over me with its millennias of history. I am from you. And that isn't the same thing, but it is something. India nods back, and I can see hidden between her back scars and name changes mirroring my own in a long stretching pool. 2 names for the same place, but were they the same place? The history books tell me of conquerors. The books passed around as PDFs rename them colonizers. Tell me that they took, replaced last names and religions and clothes and cultures. Bourget said, a mirror is like a father in that it increases population. But I think a mirror cuts someone in half, and when they move out of the frame are reunited from their bifurcation. My mother's spice cabinet is a dictionary, her stove A Ouija board I can't quite get the hang of. Every story is told by two voices at once. Every place looks in the mirror and said, "You've grown old." Says, "I can hear your scars, your war wounds." My grandmother spoke of places unsearchable. Each street name has been respelled, Bombay to Mumbai. I can look through the postcard picturesque slides of my grandfather's camera he would never take off, to the Taj Mahal. And the second Taj Mahal reflected in the mirror pool. I look at India upside down and say, "I am like you." The needle pinprick on the globe says one name, but its reflection in my eyes says another. I imagine the job of a street sign painter, erecting physical headstones of conqueror and revolution, of civil war and resolution, but I know that the India that is alive and full of people with lives is not the same as the India from my grandmother's stories, but it is not the same as the past. It is what she saw of her homeland looking in the mirror. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Opa Oliver. That was incredible. I'm just gonna read some of the love in the chat. Wow, I feel like I'm not ready. I loved how the poem began with like just chai, and then all of a sudden it like it expanded and covered so much. Um, Another taste off the tip. Was it assimilation severs yet another taste off the tip of my tongue? I am from you, but that isn't the same thing. But that is something. A coward who could not swallow all that subcontinent was robbed for. Um, wow. But I think a mirror cuts someone in half. So many beautiful lines, and also like such a tender reflection on like relationship with family, with home, um, whatever that means. And yeah, thank you, appreciate it. Okay, next up, we had another poet sign up for the open mic, and coming all the way from Vietnam, please give it up for Tam.
Guys, we got the puppies hollering. So here's a short poem that I newly wrote and it hasn't been finished yet. So yep, it's really short. And I haven't given it a name to. Okay. Iris splattering into raindrops on the threshold, as though they were cacas kissing the pavements as a redemption for themselves, for posterity not to enter the station named family here, because who know the home is a place where a ghost howl gulps a ghost town like thirst. Don't come in here, don't come in here, don't come in here. If you want to hold your body empty, but rich in the embellishments, gasping ties quiver in blizzards, smithereening you to a chai spoon to the empty with hair tossing over the floor like diverged paper shredded into little lives. Mass suck at the life burn incense out of the pipes and tell you to open your mouth, depositing a portion of familial trauma all over your tongue. You were chai only. You did not know all the tongues you had were only repositories until one day you woke up with a mouth full of blood, imbibing bombs voraciously like how addicts peptide their day with drugs. You know, the house became a home when no one took the bathroom, and it became your own territory for hours on end because you thought it was bad as soundproofing, drowning God's screamings in liquid tears. So that's the poem. I haven't finished it yet. That's all.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And also, yeah, it felt so full. I know that you're saying that it's a fresh draft and you haven't finished it yet, but like, loved hearing, loved letting us in on that part of your process as well, and that you feel comfortable sharing a work in progress with us. There's so much love in the chat as a redemption for themselves. don't come in here, don't come in here. Your body empty but rich in embellishments. Zoe said the gusto in your poems. Opa Oliver mentioned the flow. Um, Sandy said, Tam said, I'm ready to deliver. And they were. Before we get to the feature, I want to shout out some of our upcoming events. This might be bittersweet. This might be our last virtual open mic. Our next month we are maybe pandemic pending. Are going to be having our open mic and teen poetry slam at 826 Valencia on February 11th. Let me check the date. February 11th. Yes. Also, for anybody who is in San Francisco or in the Bay Area, next Saturday at 1 p.m. I'm going to be doing a weekly workshop, starting a weekly workshop at the Asian Art Museum in San Francisco. So if you're around and want to swing by, come to that. I can also get y'all free passes to the museum for your families as well. So if you want to come to the poetry thing, but your family just wants to go around the museum, you can come get free family passes. Yeah. And that starts next week, Saturday the 5th at 5 p.m. at the Asian Art Museum. All right. Enough about that. I'm going to introduce you to our featured performer who has been, been with us these past few months as well in the open mics and the slams, but is now gonna take a little feature moment. So Zoe Dorado, hailing from Castro Valley, California, is a 16-year-old spoken word poet and musician. Having played the drums for over 8 years, exploring jazz, funk, and Afro-Cuban styles, she is interested in how rhythm and meter unfold themselves into poetry and the way storytelling integrates itself into different art forms. She is part of Bahan, youth group of Filipino advocates for justice, spokes the youth advisory board of You Speaks, and is the 2021 inaugural Youth Poet Laureate of Alameda County. As a poet, she has collaborated with SEIU UHW, creating poetry for healthcare workers, led poetry workshops for youth at the Filipinx Bay Area cooperative Sama Sama, and has performed in San Francisco City Hall to her Lola's Kitchen. Her most recent work can be found in Brenda Art magazine, as well as the Bigger Picture Project Survival Pending Revolution campaign, a poetry film collaboration between You Speaks and the UCSF Center for Vulnerable Populations, advocating for vaccination and the fight against COVID-19, as well as the structural violence that allows this virus to disproportionately impact Filipino nurses like her mom and the health of our communities. As a Filipina American, Zoe is excited to learn more about literature and music beyond the canon. Thank you so much, Zoe, for being here with us. And now everybody show some love to Zoe.
Thanks, Hugh. Hey everyone, my name is Zoe. I've been going to Youth Speaks writing workshops since spring of 2020 when the pandemic hit, and I've been going to the writing workshops and the open mics, and now I'm here. So I'm really excited to perform some poems for you guys. This first one I wrote in Paola's workshop. It was after my friend showed me the soundtrack for this video game called Doom Eternal. which is like a first-person shooter game. But what I found really like interesting about this is it's the soundtrack is like metal music, and the artist Mick Gordon, he uses this I don't know, he's kind of a genius, but he's like using all of these different tools for creating these different sounds through, yeah, anyways. But yeah, he's like using power tools. Anyways, enough ranting, you should just search it up, Doom Eternal soundtrack. But yeah, this is called Ode to Metal. Ode to Metal, because I swear I'm not punk rock. Hair pendulum swinging to baseline because I'd probably bump my head on another head, and Mom would bust down the doors like some action movie climax when it's revealed that the villain is in fact the lover, who beats its chest to mosh pits and video game soundtracks. How you've named rage as art. How artful, when you turn a lawnmower to a guitar riff, riffed across the grass of me, bulldoze the belly into the chest until it blankets you in its incoherent hum. I begin to hum, softly, as Mom closes the door behind her and disappears out of frame. So yeah, that was Ode to Metal. The next one is after, do you guys remember, it was like a trend on TikTok, it was like the Devious Licks challenge. It's just a bunch of bathrooms being destroyed in high schools. So I wrote a poem about that. This is called A Personal Profanity, after TikTok's Devious Licks challenge. These walls talk back, you know. Hook eye to everything pulled from your throat. The plumbing, I mean. This is muscle memory. This is a line we wait in, akin to every fraction of small talk, like this is a fractal expanding out the door. You, globetrotter through every cataclysmic episode, and still I find myself right back to you. You, lingering of unflushed bowls and Mary Jane, paper towels towered and layered across tiles, like a cape. Like this, too, is a type of ceremony, and you, quiet and forgiving. But oh, jettison of hand soap and light switch, the picture of such in the urinal, to confess or be confessed and still cleave through accountability like a missed call. There is no, there, I fixed it. You hold too much of us to be tricked into a poem, or a devious lick, or a promise going forward. Money meant for this, not that. Ebb and flow of the influx through you, what leaves and comes back, because I got a jet on out of here. So I left you with what I gathered in my hands, an offering on the floor. So yes, that was personal profanity. And to continue personifying inanimate things, I wrote this poem a couple weeks ago. My history class, like, they were installing like air conditioning in like one of the buildings at my school, and so my 5th period history class, we had to like go to these like F buildings like on the outskirts of school, and they had like missing ceiling tiles, and so I was like just like looking up during 5th period and like just watching them. This was also like when we just came back from winter break, when like Omicron was like really present, so I guess I was just thinking about like, you know, what school is becoming, and like how everyone is feeling, and also the fact that there are missing ceiling tiles in my history class. So this is called For the Missing Ceiling Tiles in 5th period history. Yes, I've put on some kind of show, imagined an uppercut straight through the ceiling. How dramatic. I can see the sky now. It's blue and blinking at me. And so the tiles tell me to reach for the last of something, or the first of something. Like I'll be able to see everyone's faces if only they're looking up with me. But I'm tripping backwards, trust falling into the hands of whoever ends up holding me next. No one chooses the way a world bends around them. So really, I am still sitting at my desk. I'm tired of talking about holes and whoever's gonna fill them. The girl behind me has already fallen asleep. I can hear her breathing through the cloth draped over all of us, creased against our skin. 'Cause all of us in the classroom can hear it, a kind of cloud crinkling when we speak its name. Notice how I'm revising nothing, how I'm still staring at what once was part of the sky. So thank you. Yeah, so going ahead, this next poem, I was collaborating with the SCU, which is like this SCU-UHW, which is like this labor union for healthcare workers, and I had the chance to speak to these 3 healthcare workers, Dolly, John, and Gisela, and also my mom, who is a nurse. She works at Eden. So I wrote a poem about that and just thinking about healthcare workers. I wrote a different poem about healthcare workers through the Bigger Picture project, but I guess this is kind of like a different perspective on that. But yeah, this is called When I Asked My Mom How Her Day Was. If I wasn't so sure, you'd sigh at the split look, this cracked question, one riddled with hook eyes that cling to every fraction of a day that asked too much of you. You might as well summon up the gods of the news cycle that commented on your own face. Strained, they said, I am watching you from the bird's eye, and I can trace the path you make from parking lot dark, patient crying into dark, dark in human heat, dark too cold to hold on to me, to hallway running, an elevator breathing, and praying regardless of who in the room still believes in God. And back to home driveway, because nothing else could camouflage better than the night framing your body at the open door. I am not trying to make your entrance beautiful. This frame I captured is liminal. I do not want to let the bugs in, and it isn't even me who is looking per se, but her child around the corner who just learned how to eavesdrop. An exchange caught between demanding and apologetic, like, are the hospitals war zones, or what do you mean by staffing shortages, shifting surge after surge in volumes variant meant to shock your body whole. And so, look how eager my hands are to undress the weight you carried into the house. I will cleanse your clothes until you feel clean again, and again, I don't know how to talk to you about this, or if I even should. So suddenly, the kid is saving this confession till the narrator leaves the room. The stop-motion picture cutting to each of their leavings, cut to the mother, cut to the child, cut to the nurse compartmentalizing what she chooses to share, a respiratory therapist ringing a response to an ear too delicate to name itself listening. Because I only want to hear your voice. I don't care about the way it bends and hesitates. I swear, though, really, I am daughter enough to remember what feeds you whole, because whose body can know better than to coil a mouth into a passive apology. Red-lipped liar. I'm sorry I keep forgetting you were also a girl once. Maybe she plays the piano or wants to become a cheerleader, always forgets to call her mom back, but I see her through your own reflection and she is asking to be held again. So, reverse the weight and now you are being lifted by the lift technician. And the physical therapist is walking you through the doorway. I am only here to not let you forget how to breathe. I'm returning respiratory to your syntax. I am no savior. Do not put pain on a pedestal. We have avoided the aftermath excessively, delta as an aperture, as an organism entering your body, as in 92% of all new infections in our country, as in it will not go away if we close the door. So I am looking at you straight in the eyes. We are all the subject of the sentence. The action only requires us to pay attention. And so the object receives the looking, recasts the phrasing, says, I am not trying to make your entrance beautiful. I am just saying I miss you. I am just saying thank you for making it home. Thank you. Okay, so that was about my mom. And so this one I wrote in Jaira's workshop. They used to attend Youth Speaks Writing workshop, and now they're like an intern at NPR. They're really cool. But they had this, it was sort of this, these like Asian American women journalists who were also into like poetry and playwriting and like creative writing and like all of these different forms of other types of like creative writing and also like journalistic writing. And so the sort of workshop was about like journalistic poetry. And so how do we sort of, take a situation or event and like whose perspectives are we considering, and whose perspectives do we like more pay attention to, I guess, and like what are we paying attention to? And so this poem is about my grandfather, my Lolo, who passed away a couple years ago. And I guess I was just thinking about, like, I wrote a lot of poems about my perspective on his death, but I don't know, I think I was like thinking more about like my dad's perspective, since that's his dad, perspective on that. So this poem is about that. This is called I'm Driving You Home. Nobody remembered when the Blockbuster became a burger joint. Some years ago, Dad said. By that, I mean back when metal discs were the epitome of nighttime. When we were all too tired to think of what to eat tonight, when tonight was given an offering from the aisles of DVDs and Blu-rays. A building resting on the corner of CV Boulevard and San Miguel cut into a late night. But tonight we don't have burgers, or drive-thrus, or movies packed in plastic. Tonight, I want to tell you about the film where all the children watch their fathers drive from the front seat of a car, where the father is actually the movie itself, where you see Dad cry at the movie because it reminded him of his dad. And so, I imagine Lolo is here too, driving through the thicket of red echoes of taillights into blue night, blue enough to convince anybody who's looking that the father is actually the son, and also the daughter, and every watchful eye that tells you to not look away from the ocean, or the sky, or whatever would dare to swallow you, or that you would dare to swallow, whole. Oh, holy, this trinity made by the bodies in our vehicle, what keeps us moving, our breath, I mean. You tell yourself to speak quieter, keep quieter under this breathing technique mastered. Tell me a secret I won't keep. I just need to hear something entering the body, proof that it wants to take, proof that it is asking for all the fathers to come down through the moonroof and ride together all the way home. By home, I mean me, my dad, and his dad, and the breath that escapes their mouths with each palm offered to a shoulder, to a sentence ending with I'm here, say, I'm here now, and a whole lineage of talk cuffed beneath the breath will pass into the cars extending from McDonald's to Manila, to the bedroom and the house, to the bed itself surrounded by a bed of arms, bed of small breath. Lolo says I'm still here, like I want you, yes you in the back seat to hear this too. Let the radio dying off blend into my skin, into my eyes sitting in shotgun, in the seat, face, moment, turning, and looking back at you. Thank you. So yeah, this is gonna be, so that was I'm Driving You Home. This next poem, the second to last poem, is actually the first poem I wrote at a Youth Speaks writing workshop, and also the first poem I performed at a Youth Speaks open mic. The workshop was hosted by Jada Imani. It was the whole prompt, I think, if I remember correctly, was like, imagine you're putting on a play and you're the director, and you're sort of creating creating the director's notes for a character. And my character, I guess, was Quiet Girl. If you met me like in elementary and like middle school, I was definitely like a quiet person, and so I wrote about her. And especially like now that it was like, okay, now we're just in isolation and everyone's stuck in their room all day, I definitely felt like a quiet girl, just being in all that quietness. So this poem was about that, and sort of thinking about what it means to be in that character. And I should add that the second part of the prompt is what happens when the script gets flipped, when the stage, if the world's a stage, what happens when things take a turn. So this poem is called Quiet Girl Director's Notes. I don't want to tell you how to act when you become her. I just want you to notice how she breathes in everything, your words, the sound of air leaving the mouth, but I think Quiet Girl wants to breathe it out. spit out the food. Your food, she's choking. But you tell her she's fine. You tell her how calm she is, how mature and how collected. I don't think you notice that quiet girl is yelling at you. How all she sees is her voice echoing right back at her. I'm telling you to speak louder for the people in the back. Remember that soon this will be you on that stage. You will become her, and she will be watching. Everyone will. You'll stand there and look at them. Seats coated in the invisible faces. I don't think anybody showed up here for you. Don't bother looking, they're not here, but at least the audience will clap. It's a standing ovation, ear-splitting applause, but Quiet Girl needs it to stop. People get up from their seats, and you want to tell them to stay. That it's not over yet, that Act 1 just began, but everyone is gone. There is no intermission, nobody is coming back. Maybe I took your breath as languid and made a ghost out of it. Isolated from the body, a spectator. Maybe I should have given you more lines to say than, thank you, I'm glad I'm here, I guess I just ran out of time to finish the script, or I forgot about you. So here, take it. The pen, I mean, because I know Quiet Girl will never let you put those thoughts behind you. She wants you to stay for Act 2. Watch as the curtain rises. Watch as the stage turns into your bedroom. A Quiet Girl is now in the silence. The silence which she needs to fill with her voice falling into the emptiness of you, who is taking in each of her breaths. As your mind erupts into flames, walls closing in, Quiet Girl turn loud. Quiet Girl screams. Thank you. So yeah, that's Quiet Girl director's notes. I should mention that this will be on the Youth Speaks Unified Mixtape, which will be releasing soon. So, yeah, I should just put that up there. Okay. This last poem, which I will share with you guys. Thank you so much for listening through all of this. But yeah, this last poem. So I guess since we're more, interacting with the world, we're, driving places. I've been driving places a lot with my dad. And on our way home one day, we were talking about Tagalog, which is a language that's part of the people speak in the Philippines. I guess context, my dad is a second generation immigrant and my mom's a first generation immigrant. So she was born in Manila, which is in the Philippines, and then my dad was born in Kankakee, Illinois. And so his parents didn't teach him how didn't really teach him how to speak Tagalog. And so as a result, he doesn't know how to speak Tagalog. And I don't really know how to speak Tagalog either. I think my mom taught me, but just being here kind of faded away. So I guess we were both talking about that sort of want to know that we both didn't have. And yes, language angst. Oh my God. Yes. So this is about language angst. And this is a palindrome, which is a mirrored poem, which you will see. But yes, this is called In Parallel, after a conversation with Dad, where he tells me why he never learned Tagalog. Maybe I imagined it before it happened. Through the car ride back home, homebody who traces the map back to wherever it came from, as in, I left this place, but here I am, in the back seat, on a bangka resting in some ocean, on the back of a tongue forgetting itself, an itch that is given to you. Because how else to teach the kid you only have one in your mouth? What we spill is the shadow. I don't call him Tata, I just Dad. Remember though, the tension. What's needed to make a taut lineage, a rope to weave through a bloodline, thick enough to call itself here, thin enough to apologize and say thank you, as in, I name myself an undoing. A mathematical proof. Instinctive I'm getting inside the car to reach something familiar. The humming of a radio from another country remembered only because we keep trying to mimic its movement. How waves can be more than just water. The string accelerated through the air by a hand not mine. I don't know which country I'm referring to. We are both becoming the spectacle stared at, a funhouse, really. A mirror doesn't have to be poetic. I'm only looking out of habit. Dad in the front seat. I am just the passenger. The third object is not the road, not thinking about the time it took us to get here. I am moving through this mythos. The body remembers because we've driven home before. Though sometimes a child pretends to be asleep, I just want to be held. Though the driver does too, I think, as in, I'm sorry I keep you awake. But how else can I get you to not look away? You know how this goes. Because we've driven home before, the body remembers. I am moving through this mythos, not thinking about the time it took us to get here. And the third object is not the road. I am just the passenger. Dad in the front seat, I'm only looking at you out of habit. A mirror doesn't have to be poetic. A funhouse. Really, we are both becoming the spectacle stared at. I don't know which country I am referring to, not mine. The string accelerated through the air by a hand, how waves can be more than just water. Remembered only because we keep trying to mimic its movement, the humming of a radio from another country, and I'm getting inside the car to reach something familiar. Instinctive-like, a mathematical proof, as in I name myself an undoing, thin enough to apologize and say thank you, but thick enough to call itself here. A rope to weave through a bloodline, what's needed to make a taut lineage. Remember, though, the tension. I don't call him that, I just dad. What we spill is the shadow. You only have one in your mouth, because how else to teach the kid the itch that is given to you? On the back of a tongue forgetting itself, on a bunka resting in some ocean in the back seat, as in I left this place, but here I am, homebody who traces the map back to wherever it came from. So the car ride back home, maybe you imagined it before it ever happened. Thank you. But yeah, that was the last poem. Thanks guys for listening. And yeah, I was fangirling throughout this whole open mic listening to all the other poets speak. But yeah, I'll pass it back to Hugh.
And I'll hop in to grab that microphone mid-pass. And can we give it up for Zoe wherever you're at, whether you're tuning in from YouTube right now, if it's the future, if it's the present, if you're in the Zoom room right now, I need to feel your snaps. If I can't see them, I encourage you to unmute, let the poet know how fly they are. We gotta celebrate, y'all. Hit up the chat, drop ones in the chat, drop twos in the chat. What? We doing this. And yeah, we give it up one more time for our incredible feature, as well as all the poets that busted on this here mic, open mic. What? Thank you for bear witness. Yes. So we are at an important moment in the show where I want to give folks a heads up. So I'm the slam MC for this thing, and as the lineups are looking right now, we don't have anyone signed up for the slam. And that's A-okay. But what we want to do is invite folks. If anybody wants to get down, not for a slam, but if anybody's feeling inspired, it's like, yo, I got to promo open mic. The thing we used to do back in the day was we'd have like the open mic and a feature set and more open mic. This is an invitation. If you're interested in that, if you don't want to get down with that, I don't really want to slam, you're welcome. Let our list keeper know, and we'll rock like that. But also, if that was exactly open mic part 2, Electric Boogaloo. And shout out to the and respect for the power. The baddest. But if it turns out that Zoe was our last poet, we welcome it. Thank you so much. We are blessed. I'm gonna give y'all a second to do that. Also want to thank our judges. I know we got some grown folks in this space that were coming. They were like, look, I came judgmental, ready to judge some poems. And it looks like we won't be activating that superpower tonight. So thankful that you're in this space with us to bear witness to this incredible open mic feature set that we just had. Please come back in all caps, as Sandy said in the chat. We're definitely gonna be having some in-person slams, and we're depending on y'all to come through to help hold those down. Let's see, I'm gonna let folks keep signing up. If you're doing it, I'll give you another chance, another few seconds. Also want to encourage folks, if you are tuning in now, if you're like in the Zoom, it means you're in the room. You got the link to be up in here, you did the thing, you signed up, you registered, thank you. If you're not currently attending our other activities, get down. Why are you stopping? What? Like, we do this multiple times a week. including our after-school workshop on Wednesdays, which, like you said, is going to be starting at the San Francisco Public Library, safety permitting, in a couple weeks. But those will be hybrid as well, which means we're going to have the Zoom pulled up. Look, we just bought a conference microphone. We got a projector set up. We got multiple cameras to make sure that, yo, I can't be there in person. It's still going to be a tight experience. And you can hear the facilitator and the folks in person live and hot. That's every Wednesday. Also got our craft workshop, Spread the Fire with Hugh, beginning next Saturday, February 1st, Saturday in February, as well as Rhyme and Reason, which is going to be coming down the line with our own Sing Q EJ Walls, for you to get your bars up with Sunset Youth Services. Shout out to the partners. That's going to be coming in late February, so be on the lookout for that. Open mics every second and fourth Friday, as well as our teen poetry slams. And yeah, as we're entering February, it's gonna be your last chance to slam to get for semifinals. Right, we got 2 more slams left before semifinals. And then we're moving on to semis in March, finals in April, Unified Slam, get your squad, get your team pieces ready for the Unified Slam end of April. We ain't stopping. We got the Spokes Backyard Conference coming in June. Like Center and Disability Justice with our open mic in May. A little Curiosity in June for Pride. It's popping. It's popping. So there's much to tap into. Please come on through to make it happen. I'm gonna check on my list keeper, Sandy. Are there any signups on the microphone? I see that note. And it's cool because we get to enter our Friday chilling. I release you. I give you back the rest of your night. So one more time, can we snap it up for all the poets that busted, that got on the mic? Yes. Can we snap it up for the audience too, because we can't do it without y'all. We snap it up for everyone that received as well. We snap it up for production. Shout out to Max. Shout out to Joni. You know what? Shout out to Troy. Shout out to who else on the squad? Shout out to Britt. I know you don't work for You Speak no more, but we love you, bro. You better get it. You're at it right now. Shout out to Mark. Shout out to raising the funds to make this thing possible. If you want to make a donation, YouSpeaks.org. If you want to get down with the activities, that's where the signups are. Shout out to the program squad. We mighty. Yeah, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. As we used to say back in the day, continue to. This is a You Speaks production because the next generation speaks for itself. Have a good evening, y'all. Oh yeah, give it up for our DJ Russell Arelis. Can't forget about you. Easing us into the evening. Yes.